creators, it's Melissa from Melissa's Creations, and today we are going to make some Christmas tags. I want to keep my Christmas tags very quick and simple this year, so I am going to be very minimal when I am putting them together. So just a couple of touches here and there can really make your tags pop with few supplies. So today I'm going to be focusing on traditional Christmas colors. I have very vanilla, garden green, and the cherry cobbler colors. Grab a cup of coffee, put on some Christmas music, and let's get crafting. The first tags that I'm going to make today are going to be round. Now this is not traditionally the size tag that I would make, but I saw a few ideas on Pinterest that I really liked, so I'm going to try and replicate those as best as I can. So I'm starting with a piece of very vanilla cardstock, and I'm actually going to cut this in half so that I can run it through my big shot. So I have the Stampin trimmer here, and I'm going to cut this in half at 5.5, just so it's exactly in half. And now I can run these through the big shot, and I'm also going to run through a piece of the cherry cobbler and garden green cardstock, and I'm going to run those through with the scalloped circle dies, and I want to make those just slightly bigger than the stitched circle that I'm going to use. So I'm again cutting these exactly in half at 5.5 on the long edge as well, so that I can run those through the big shot. Okay, so I have the stitched shapes framelits and the layering circles framelits. So I'm going to pull these out. I'm going to use one of the scalloped pieces, but I want to figure out which size I'm going to use. So I'm going to come over here and grab my circle first. These are going to be tags on my gifts, so I want to make them easy to read and not super small. So I think the third largest circle will work just fine for the tag. And then I can take one of these and it'll give me a nice border around there. Okay, now it's time to bring in the big shot. So I've got my magnetic platform along with the cutting plate here. I'm going to set my cardstock down. Let's run through some of the vanilla first. And the vanilla is going to be the stitched circle. So I'm going to set that down on there, put a cutting plate on top, and zip it through. And halfway through cutting, I like to flip my plates over. You can see that it kind of is bowing a little bit right here. So when you flip your plates over, and also when you switch them from the top piece and the bottom piece, you flip them around, then your plates will last you a lot longer. All right, so now that we have all of those pieces cut out, we can start stamping and assembling our tags. So I'm going to use the Tidings All Around stamp set. I love this sentiment here and these little dots, as well as this kind of like bunch of floral and greenery pieces here, as well as it has a to and from on it. So this is a perfect set for tags. So I'm going to grab those stamps out. So we're going to do Tidings of Comfort and Joy. And I'm going to do the to and from on the back of my tag. And then we're going to use the dot and this gorgeous little bunch of greenery here. Okay, so the inks that I have, I'm using the Tuxedo Black Memento. I have the Garden Green and the Cherry Cobbler Classic Stampin' Pads. So I'm going to start with my words. That way I can stamp all around that. So I'm using the Tidings of Comfort and Joy, and I'm going to stamp it in the black ink so it really pops and stands out. So I want to put a piece of scrap paper down. So I have the Stamparatus grid paper sheets here. So let's start stamping. Okay, now that we have our words stamped, we're going to move on to the greenery pieces. I'm going to use my garden green for that. So, open this guy up. And I don't need the whole stamp, so I think mostly I'm just going to stamp it kind of up at the top, and maybe I'll do a little bit at the bottom. So let's see what it looks like. That's pretty. I'm liking that so far. Let's get that out of the way. Here we go. That is gorgeous, and I'm really happy with that. We're gonna add a little bit of red on top as well in just a second. So I'm just going to set that aside for a minute, and I can stamp the greenery on the rest of my tags first. All right, here are the berries. So I can open up the red and get those berries going. And I don't want to overdo it, so I'm just going to see what this looks like. That is really cute. Just putting a little bit of those berries right on those fern pieces. So we're gonna go with that. Perfect. That was so fast and super easy. So now we're going to use our memento and stamp the backs of our little guys here. But before we do that, actually, I think I want to glue all of my tags to the front of my, glue all the front of my tags to the backs of the tags. So let's go ahead and do that first. So I'm just gonna use my good old snail adhesive, and we're just going to do a couple of runs, pick up a backing, and glue it right down. Okay. And let's alternate, see how it looks. Looks really nice on the red. All right, so before we keep going, I'm going to take a hole punch, and I'm going to punch a hole in the top of each of the tags so that when I stamp on the back, the to and from, I know where I want to stamp. So I'm just going to stamp or punch a hole right up at the top, just like that. All right, now that we have all of those holes punched, we are going to stamp our to and from on the backs of our tag with our memento ink. And because we did the hole before we stamped the back, we know that if we just put the hole at the top, then our to and from will be the right orientation. All right, now that we have all of our tags stamped, we are ready to add the finishing touches, which is just to put on some ribbon and we'll be good to go. All right, so from the 12 Tidings suite of products, I have the ruched ribbon. This is in Real Red, which is going to be just fine. It will coordinate beautifully on the green. And then I have the Garden Green. This is the double stitched ribbon, and I'm gonna use that on the red. Then I'm gonna use some, yes, this is kind of a mess, not gonna lie. It kind of unraveled from both ends a little bit, but still perfectly good. I just need to kind of find the end, and here's an end right here. So we're going to use this linen thread to kind of tie around the ribbon when we thread it through the holes. So I'll show you what I mean in just a second. All right, so let's start with this Garden Green stitched ribbon, and I'm just going to simply thread it through. And we just want a little accent. This isn't what we're going to use to tie onto our package because I feel like I don't want to waste all of this pretty ribbon tying one package with it. So I'm going to just use it as an accent. I'm going to snip those off at an angle. Then I'm going to take the linen thread, which is much more cost effective to tie to your package. And I'm going to tie it around. I'm going to leave a generous tail. And I'm going to make a slip knot. So to do that, all I'm going to do is twist. So I have a loop. Then I'm going to take the tail and I'm going to make another loop. You're going to put that loop through the first and then grab onto the loop and pull not the tail, but the end that's attached to the rest of your spool. So I'm going to pull that into a knot. And then if you pull on the tail, that makes this a slip knot and it will cinch down that loop right there. So now what I'm going to do is thread that loop over that beautiful ribbon, and then I'm just going to pull the tail and that will cinch it around that ribbon there, just like that. And that is how we're going to attach the tag to our package. So I am going to cut the end of the linen thread the same length as that tail, and you can use those to tie it to your package. So I'm going to finish this up for all of my tags here, and then we can get it on our boxes. Now this ribbon is a lot thicker, so with this I'm going to kind of fold it up quite a bit, and I'm actually, so I don't have to keep folding it, I'm going to string on my tags all the way. That way I only have to really fold it one time, and then we're just going to chop them as we go. And it'll also save a little bit of having to cut off the end, because the more you thread the end through, the more it starts to fray. So if I just have to pull it through one time, well, if I just have to fold it up and pull it through once, then I can save some waste. I won't have to trim off every time I do one tag. Okay, so now I'm going to put this last tag close to the end, and then I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to fold it up. I'm going to put the two ends together so I can just have to do one cut. And you want to make sure you have very sharp scissors for this. I have dedicated snips for ribbon scissors, and I tied a little bit of ribbon onto it so I could tell them apart. And then there you go. Then that's that. So now I can bring the next tag down, and I just have to cut one end since the other end is nice and beautifully cut and it's not frayed. So at an angle here, just like that. Boom, done. There we go, you guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this very simple tag video. These look gorgeous and they were really easy to whip together. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this tag project. I'm going to try and get a couple more out before Christmas gets here, especially the really quick and easy tags so that you can just whip some together and throw them on your boxes if you're last minute, kind of like me. So again, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed. Please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, click that subscribe button, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought of this project today. You can find me online at MKre8tions.com and on Facebook at facebook.com/MKre8tions. I'm also on social media. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest with the handle MKre8tions. Thank you so much for visiting me today. I hope to see you guys back again soon, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!